Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Oddity Shop, or welcome if you're new here. We really appreciate the listen. This is Kara.
I'm Zach. Hello.
And this is whatever the heck this is.
Yeah, it's disorganized. It's a mess, but it's fun. We like to...
Well, that's how we are.
We just do our best, in all honesty. And, you know, some of you keep coming back for it, so appreciate it.
I don't know why, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
All right, what's new?
Let's see. What is new? It is now middle of December.
Okay, what is it? It is technically, we're in the future. What is it, the 15th?
It is the 15th of December. Hopefully you all have your Christmas shopping done.
We almost do.
We almost do. We're in that gray period of Michigan where nothing matters and we all kind of hate it. No snow, but no sunlight. It's the in-between.
It's like, this is how I feel. I like it. I know it's not like pretty or anything, but the vibes, like, you know, like when you're just like at home and you're cozy and it's like dreary out, it's like great. I love it.
Anyways, I'm looking for a new co-host because Kara's talking about the vibes and I just can't.
What else would I have said?
Oh, I don't know.
In replace.
I think it's time to just get in my question for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
It's a deep one.
How deep? Like 6 feet under?
I guess 6 feet under, but then above the ground again, because the question is, does reincarnation exist?
Yeah.
And the follow-up question is, and why? Okay,
I definitely want to do an episode on this. I think if you believe in it, it does. I don't necessarily think it happens for everybody, but I don't know, how doesn't it, you know? If you're buried, or even I guess if you're burned and your ashes go everywhere, right? You're going back into the earth. So you could just be reincarnated into a flower.
So it always takes me back to like energy isn't created nor destroyed. It's just transferred from one thing to another.
Right. Perfectly said. Thank you.
That's like physics law, right? So I feel like almost the same thing has to happen with our bodies. But I love the fact that you said it happens to you if you believe in it, which is a perfect lead in to the story I have for you today.
Oh, I didn't even realize this question. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know what you're telling me. Typically, we have an idea of what we're telling each other so that we don't waste our time researching the same topic. I really don't know what you're telling me.
It's because I kept it a surprise, mostly because the research on this was finished
today.
Not that long before.
Today.
Anyways, I've got the story for you of the Pollack sisters. Have you heard of them?
Okay. I feel like I have, but now you said reincarnation, and now I don't know if I have. So tell me.
All right. So here's the lead-in. All right. We've got a religious, hardworking couple. They have a normal life in a small town. They live in England. They're running their business. They're raising their family.
Mm-hmm.
One day they're hit with just an unimaginable tragedy of losing 2 of their children in a horrific accident. Years after this, the mother gives birth to a set of twins, and almost right away they start noticing some really, really odd coincidences that lead them to believe there may be something a little bit more strange about the connection between their new daughters and the ones that have passed.
Okay, this does sound vaguely familiar, but I do feel like that a while ago you were telling me about this, so I can't quite articulate in my brain if it's because of you or I've heard this. But this is weird because I do feel like reincarnation isn't typically like within your family, right? It's normally just like somebody remembers things in a past life completely separate to their own. So that's very interesting.
Right. I mean, we have all those things like past life regression or different religions that believe, you know, once you die, you're reborn again into the world as either another person or another thing or whatever, right? But
your family. Interesting. Okay.
This one gets odd.
Ew, I don't know. Okay.
I'm gonna say there's times where I'm totally bought in, and there's times where I'm like, I think there might be a little bit of leading here. But let's start at the beginning. In the 1920s,
Okay.
We've got John and Florence.
Okay.
Both grow up in very religious homes. So they live in England. John is part of the Church of England. Florence is raised in, and I guess it's a religion. I didn't know that before I'd started researching this, but she's brought up in the religion of the Salvation Army.
What?
Makes sense that it's actually a religious practice.
What do they believe?
I think both the Church of England and the Salvation Army are very, very like strict Christianity religions. You're just staring at me. I'm going to go on.
I thought you were about to burp.
I was.
See, I know you very, very well.
So John converts to Catholicism, right? A little bit. So like, this is when you know that the Church of England was very, very strict, because he converts to Catholicism for something a little more.
Did these people know each other
open-minded.
yet or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's important to note, though, so John, while being Catholic and religious, he had always been intrigued by the thought of reincarnation, even from a young age, and would pray regularly to God for proof of its existence.
Wait, so he just wanted to know about it from God?
He wanted proof.
From God. So he wanted, okay.
Right, which is weird because usually in like Catholicism or Christianity, reincarnation is not something super popular. So both John and Florence, they grow up in the 20s, in the 40s, they meet each other. After a few short years, John and Florence get engaged and soon become married.
Cute.
Very soon after the wedding, Florence actually converts to Catholicism. She converts to Catholicism, which is important because of one of two things. Either she's easily swayed, or John is very good at not manipulating her, but being impressionable on her.
Well, it's kind of like manipulation, no?
He's at least convincing enough to make her believe what he believes. I don't know if that manipulation is quite the right word I'm looking for. I just can't find the right word.
It's persuasion.
Persuasive. He's very persuasive.
Persuasive, yeah, okay.
So after getting married, the young couple settles in Northeast England. They start running a successful business where they have a grocery store and a milk delivery, right? So they're going out house to house and delivering milk. It's the 40s. However, in very typical Catholic fashion, the couple right away begins having children in quick succession. Over the course of their marriage, they have 4 boys and 4 girls.
Oh.
Sadly, 2 of the children meet a very tragic end early in life. John and Florence, they have 2 boys, and then their firstborn daughter, their third child, Joanna, was born in 1946.
Okay.
They have 2 more children who are boys, and then their second daughter is born in 1951. Her name is Jacqueline.
Okay. Joanna and Jacqueline?
Joanna and Jacqueline.
Got it.
Get used to J names.
JJ.
So Jacqueline, it's very important to note, she had one distinctive feature when she was born. She had a large birthmark on her hip.
Okay.
So also, Joanna, when she was 3 years Jacqueline, I'm already mixing them up. Jacqueline, when she was 3 years old, the same one with the birthmark, she trips and falls into a bucket and gets a very distinctive scar on her face near her, where her eye meets her nose. Remember that.
Okay, so she has a birthmark on her hip and a scar. Okay.
Yep. So the girls spend a lot of time with their grandmother, being that their family or their parents are running a business, right? So they become very close with grandma, but the 2 girls become quickly bonded to each other.
I'm sorry, at this point, did they still just only have one older brother? Or did they have all the other kids?
Nope, so there's 2 older brothers before
2.
Joanna was born, 2 more boys, and then Jacqueline's born.
Okay.
So at this point, there's 6 of the 8 children.
Okay, I missed that. Got you.
But the children, like the girls spend a lot of time with grandma when the parents are working.
Okay. So
they love to play dress up. They like to do art. They're oddly very fond of combing people's hair, especially their fathers.
I don't know if that's an odd thing.
We're going to come back to it.
Well, I used to do that.
When they're not spending time with grandma, mom and dad like to make sure that the house is full of love and the children, like it's a really great
family.
Typical like small town family to grow up in. Okay.
Wait, I don't know. Is that, well, what are we, 40s?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in like Leave It to Beaver times.
So yeah, I guess wholesome, like great fan. Wow.
Exactly. Joanna, though, would quite often say, "I will never be a lady."
No.
What her parents assumed was she would never grow up to be like a very girly girl.
No.
However, she loved to play dress up and do art and was like, it turns out it may have actually been a premonition of what would happen to these two girls.
Oh my God.
So I already told you there was going to be some tragedy. Let's get into it. On May 5th, 1957, so in Hexham, Northumberland, England, where the family lived, Joanna and Jacqueline are getting ready for church like they would any normal weekend. Joanna is 11, Jacqueline is 6 years old. They meet up with their classmate Anthony, and they begin their normal weekend routine of walking to church together, hanging out, and just having a good time.
I'm sorry, side note, when you just put their ages like that, it's not that it's strange that they were so close, but that kind of is 11 and 6.
Yep, so they're 5 years apart.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know.
Because remember, there's 2 boys between them.
Yeah, when you said that, it's just when you put the ages, it makes you really think of that perspective. It's like, it's odd that they were as close as they were, I feel like.
Well, and one of the things that's actually said is that Joanna actually really loved to mother Jacqueline.
Oh.
And Jacqueline appreciated the mothering she got from Joanna.
And they are the only girls out of all the boys, so I guess that does make sense. So it's kind of like it was her little baby. Okay. All right, I can get down.
All right, so Jacqueline, Joanna, and Anthony are walking down their way to church. On one side of them is a road, so they're walking on the sidewalk, and on the other side is a stone wall.
I hate this.
On the same day, a woman is seen driving erratically through Hexham.
Like drunk erratic, just like having a breakdown? We don't know. We do know. Oh,
so she's very distraught. She's recently had her own children taken away from her. Most people think she set out to commit suicide by taking a lethal dose of aspirin and
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but this has been my fear that we're going to say something incorrectly. I think the term that we were supposed to use now is unalive yourselves, and I just don't want to upset anybody.
She sought out to end her own life.
Thank you.
Okay. She took a lethal dose of aspirin and phenobarbital.
Oh.
Phenobarbital. I said phenobarbital. Phenobarbital.
Yeah, I knew
is an anti-seizure, anti-anxiety medication, but in high doses can create euphoric feelings, drowsiness, confusion. So she's driving around. She spots the 3 kids walking down the side of the road. She thinks about her own children. She veers her car and speeds.
Oh my God, she intentionally did this?
It was intentional.
What a piece of shit.
So the children are trapped between basically the car and the wall.
Oh my God.
Emergency services arrive. Anthony is rushed to the hospital, and unfortunately, he dies on the way.
Oh, he died too?
Yep. Joanna and Jacqueline are pronounced dead at this scene, which is just absolutely terrible. I mean, they're 11 and 6 years old walking to church.
Oh my God. They're walking to church. You can't even get more wholesome than that.
So obviously this kind of incident, it makes headlines all over Britain.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Not that I really give a shit about that piece of shit woman, but did she die?
Let me get to the next line.
Sorry.
The driver somehow survives the accident, and in parentheses I wrote, asshole.
Well, but here's the thing. I would almost rather her fucking survive, because now she can live with the fact that she killed 3 kids and that her own kids got taken away, you piece of crap.
You're going to get angrier.
Oh,
she
God.
is, instead of taken to prison, she is taken to a psychiatric hospital, where she attempts to unalive herself a few more times and is unsuccessful.
I hate her.
After the accident, Florence and John are absolutely devastated by the accident, right? But both of them deal with it in completely different ways. So remember, they still have 4 sons.
Ugh, those poor kids.
So Florence, the mother, she deals with trauma very avoidant. So she tries to avoid thinking about the girls. She tries to avoid talking about the girls.
Well, not just the girls, the boy too.
That wasn't their son. That was their friend, their classmate who they met up with.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I totally missed that part.
Yeah, no, he was just a classmate that they met up with. I mean, I'm sure they're still devastated, right? But not
no, okay. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was one of their. Okay. Oh, you're right. Okay, so the 4 boys, 2 girls, 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so Florence, she avoids thinking about it. She basically buries their memories. She puts all their toys in the attic. And she's just trying to do her best to return to life as normal. John, on the other hand, he devotes himself to the memory of the girls. Remember, John already has an affinity for reincarnation.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
He starts to believe that what has happened is punishment from God for praying for proof of reincarnation.
Well, wait a second. I'm sorry. Why does he, where does that in his brain, where does he equate that? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because after the girl's death, he claims to have visions of them in heaven.
Okay.
He's even sensed their spirits around the house.
Okay, but I'm sorry. What would make you think that that's because you question God about reincarnation? Am I jumping ahead?
In a ways, but remember at the beginning we said he would regularly pray to God for proof of reincarnation?
Right. Okay, here's my thing. So before he gets these twins, what made him think that this was punishment? Like, just because you
First of all, nobody else knows about the twins yet.
I know, but I'm saying that before. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Cut that part.
So we'll leave it in because I told you we were talking about the Pollack twins. We're gonna get there. So
okay, but I'm sorry, but what I'm just saying is that I guess I don't understand. In my mind, that's not where my brain would go. If I was really religious, I would think that I've done something wrong, and that wouldn't be it. That you're just questioning God. Like, I don't know.
Let's look at trauma responses. His children die. He immediately starts to see visions of them and feel them around the house. He's prayed for proof of reincarnation. So now he thinks he's getting his just rewards because he doesn't believe that they are actually gone.
Do you feel the most powerful and beautiful with the elements of the earth around you? Do you like one-of-a-kind jewelry? Do you sometimes feel like a woodland fairy? Me too. That's why I created Holly and Hemlock, a magical shop filled with handmade wooden jewelry and metaphysical tools. Come check out our enchanting wooden wares at www.hollyhemlock.com and join us in honoring the magic and beauty of nature with each unique creation. That's www.hollyhemlock.com.
Okay, so he's already thinking.
He becomes convinced that the girls were meant to be reborn. Florence, on the other hand, she completely, vehemently denies this. It actually almost ends their marriage.
You know what, I was going to ask that because a lot of times when you have a loss like that of a child, your marriage does not, what's the word?
Go on.
Yeah.
But you know what fixes marriages?
More children?
Moving. So the family moves.
Let me ask you a quick question. What would you do in this scenario?
I'm never having children, so
I know.
I cannot even answer it.
But a huge loss in your life. Are you just burying it down the hatchet and never talking about it again? Or whatever, I guess you can't. We don't know what we would have.
I feel like somebody who's moved as much as I have, I'd probably just move to a new city.
Yeah, you definitely would. Okay. Moving on.
Literally. So the marriage doesn't end. They get a fresh start. They move to a new town. And soon after, Florence becomes pregnant.
Okay.
Through her pregnancy, doctors tell her, we're hearing one heartbeat. There's no family history of twins. You're going to give birth to one child.
They actually say all this?
I mean, she's told, when you go to like doctors, like they tell you, oh, you're having twins. Oh, you're having one. Like throughout the whole pregnancy, she thinks she's having one child.
Right. But they didn't say you're not having twins.
But they look at all the history, right?
No, I know.
On October 4th, 1958, Florence gives birth to a set of twins where they've never heard more than one heartbeat.
What year is this now?
1958.
Okay, so I feel like in 58 you would definitely still hear 2 heartbeats, but...
Anyways, John says
oh, God.
The girls are coming back.
This guy is really creeping me out.
So they named the 2 new daughters Jillian and Jennifer.
Do the boys have J names?
Nothing that I found actually names the boys.
The boys. Okay.
So Jillian was the twin who was born first. Jennifer is born second.
Let me guess. One of them has a birthmark on their hip and a scar between their nose.
Jennifer is born with 2 birthmarks, one on her hip and the other one on her face, in the same spot and shape of the scar on Jacqueline's face.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I just got goosebumps right now. I'm not going to lie. That is real freaking weird.
And there's a lot of things that are coming up where you're like, I 100% believe this. And then you go, it's 100% John pushing his own agenda.
Well, I don't believe, and I don't know, but I don't believe there's necessarily anything that says like if your parents has birthmarks, you're going to have a birthmark. I don't think.
There is. So
okay, is there?
Yep, some birthmarks are genetics. But the fact that she had the one in the same spot of the scar, that one's weird.
That is weird. That is really weird.
Soon after the birth of Jillian and Jennifer, John and Florence begin to notice some very strange similarities. At the age of 3 years old, Jillian and Jennifer started to play with their sister's toys, which were brought out of the attic. Now,
did he do that?
So they brought them out of the attic. That's not the weird part. The weird part
is kind of weird to me. I don't know.
So the twin sisters, right? Like, you put toys in front of them, they're going to fight over them. That's a given with toddlers.
How old are they? We're saying they're toddlers at this point?
3 years old.
Okay.
They never fight. Jillian starts to play with Joanna's toys. Jennifer starts to play with Jacqueline's toys.
And they just like somehow know whose toys, like they all gather the one sister's toys or something like that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Even weirder than that, they separate the toys and look at their parents and say, these are the ones Santa brought us, correctly marking the ones that were Christmas gifts to each of the girls.
Okay, here's where I'm already... Okay. Mom doesn't want anything to do with thinking of her daughters that passed away. These toys are hid in the attic. So I'm thinking in my brain, I'm automatically thinking Dad brought these down and is like pushing this shit onto the girls. Whether he's telling them anything or not, he's bringing the toys down for a freaking reason, right? Like you said, it's an agenda. Like he's bringing them down to these 2 little toddlers that he thinks are his reincarnated children that died. So to me, that's already like you're pushing your agenda. But the Christmas thing, that's weird.
There's certain things that you can attribute to John, and there's certain things that are just really weird. So, I mean, them like not fighting over the toys, that's strange. From here, things only get significantly weirder, though. So when the girls are between 4 and 5, remember they moved. They go on a trip back to Hexham, where the family used to live. And the girls begin talking about a park. Now, they're like, oh my God, we used to love to swing on these swings. And the parents are like, kind of like, what?
You've never been here, honeys.
They lead the family, without ever having been to the city, back to the park without ever having been there before.
This is freaking me out.
Right? So, also, when they were 5, they began to have a fear of cars. So when a car would rev its engine near them, the girls would become visibly shaken. They would hold each other's hands. And one time, so they were walking down an alley, so a tight space.
By themselves?
It didn't really say. I would imagine probably with a family, whatever. Because somebody had to have seen this.
Right.
They reported that the girls, the older one, so this would be Jillian.
Wait, why is one
Jennifer's
older?
hand
You just mean by their...
by seconds.
Okay.
Right, Jillian was the twin born first.
Okay.
Jillian grabs not Jacqueline. Jillian grabs Jennifer's hand and says, that car is coming for us.
Oh, ew. I'm sorry, but I would get rid of these twins.
Let's fast forward to their first full day of school.
No.
They're on their way with their mom.
I would have already gotten rid of them.
They're complaining that they're hungry. And Mom tries to explain to them, we can't eat right now. You're going to eat at school. To which they replied, we know we've done this before.
Ew. I hate it.
Here's the most horrifying part. They used to play a game where they would reenact a car accident. And at one point, Florence, so not John, Florence came out. Jillian was cradling Jennifer, holding her head, pointing to her eyes and saying, "This is where the car hit you. This is where the blood is coming from."
Okay, first off, these are not reincarnated children. These are demons.
I mean, but they're reliving almost, but the thing is it's never in the past tense. This isn't what happened to us. This is what's happening to us, which is weird.
Ew,
The most, I think, damning piece of evidence is that Jillian once pointed to the scar on Jennifer's face and said, "That's where Jacqueline fell into the bucket."
The bucket? Oh, yeah, because she hit herself. Oh, my God. Wait, but have they ever... Why... Okay, let me ask you this. So they've never talked about the girls, correct? Like the parents, nobody's talked about these girls?
I just want you to hold on to that thought.
Sorry.
All right. The parents bring in a renowned psychiatrist to meet with the girls. He meets them when they were 4, so we're kind of going back. He actually meets with the girls multiple times until they're 20 years old. He interviews the family, does physical examinations of the girls, ran blood tests, and he actually wrote like an 82-page detailed case report in which he corroborated so many of these coincidences that the family reported. He's the one who noted that the girls always spoke, though, never in past tense, but always in first tense, as if they were reliving their old deceased sisters' lives.
That's really weird, actually.
He also noticed, so he did blood tests and found out that they were identical twins, but their physical appearances and postures were less like each other, but Jillian was more similar to Joanna and Jennifer was more similar to Jacqueline.
How did he know that?
By pictures. So looking at so they're identical twins, right? They should have had similar postures where they were more like the girls who passed away.
Interesting.
Okay. So John states that him and Florence never talked to the older girls about their beliefs in reincarnation. By the way, Florence starts to believe way more in reincarnation.
Of course.
Throughout the whole thing. Which is why I said, she converts to Catholicism for John, and she's impressionable.
Well, okay, here's, though, my thing on this. If... I think that anybody would be impressionable if this were to happen, right? You've gone through such a tragic thing. Now you have these 2 little girls, right? And they're acting very similar, and there's weird coincidences to your 2 other daughters that passed away. Your husband is talking about reincarnation. It's kind of hard not to then believe in that. I'll go into my thoughts later, but
he's already changed her religion,
right? But yeah. I don't like any of this. Okay.
The girls actually don't even know that the parents believe that they're reincarnated versions of their sisters until they're 13 years old.
I don't believe that. They never spoke a word of their sisters or anything like that to them.
Just hold on to it, Kara.
I'm sorry. I hate all this. This is dumb.
As the twins grew older, the researcher, I told you, he met with them until they were 20. So he meets with them a few more times. By the age of 20, the girls have no memories of their past lives anymore, which slowly faded over time. However, they accepted that their parents believe that they were the reincarnation of their older sisters.
That's got to be weird.
So, I mean, after this, honestly, the twins live pretty much normal lives, except for one time, 1981, Jillian has a vision of herself playing in a sandpit and described the yard and the exterior of the home of which Joanna lived in. Remember, they moved.
Yep.
Jillian had never been to that home.
So even when they took them back to the town and the park and stuff, they never took them by their old house?
Right.
Okay.
Do you believe in reincarnation at this point?
I mean, I still believe in it, but do I think this is it? I don't know. No.
Would you be mad if I withheld information from you?
I think that you did. I can tell. This story's not over.
I absolutely did. The researcher they brought in, while he was a renowned psychiatrist, was a renowned psychiatrist in the field of reincarnation.
Okay.
while John and Florence may not have talked to the girls until they were 13 about the fact that they thought they were reincarnated, you brought it up. They had 4 older brothers who would have talked about the
right. That's what I'm saying. That no, somebody said something. You can't tell 4 brothers not to be like, mom and dad are freaking whack jobs over here. Like, they're portraying this whole thing on you two. Get it together.
At the same time, John has believed in this from a young age, and he starts to believe in a trauma response that these girls are the reincarnation of his 2 dead daughters. So whether you mean to or not, I think subconsciously you're going to start imprinting on 2 young girls at a young age.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying about the mom, right? So she might not have believed it, but then you're like, oh my God, all of these like coincidences and like these things that are like, okay, hello, they're the same DNA as your other children. They can have these same similarities, right? But now you're wanting something, you're kind of manifesting it in a way, but you're going to believe in it more.
And 2, John has already proved that he's persuasive. He convinced his wife to switch religions. He's convinced her that reincarnation now exists. You can't tell me that he's not going to impress upon the 2 young daughters that they're the reincarnated versions of their past sisters.
Yeah.
And usually I would say, like, bringing a researcher in, right, who witnessed these girls from 3 to 20 would give strong evidence to something being real. But the fact that he was actually a reincarnation researcher leads me to believe, like, there are biases in everyone's story.
Yeah, I think yes, that is the perfect way to put it. Especially since, like, when the girls got older, they don't really necessarily remember anything. And that could be, I don't know. I don't know if I was reincarnated, so I don't remember anything else. But I don't know. I don't think it was. This one has me convinced that I don't think it was. I think it was, unfortunately. And I'm glad that you said that the girls, as far as you know, like, had a good life or have a good life. Because that actually makes me really sad if their parents were kind of betraying, like, they're not looking at them. Thank God they gave them separate names or like new names, but like, they're not looking at them as 2 beautiful girls that they've had. They're actually visually seeing them as their other daughters and portraying them as their other children. And that's so sad. Like, you're not even giving them their real identities. That's so frustrating to me.
Like, when I asked you the question at the beginning of the episode and you said something about, like, I feel like the more you believe in it, the more it's real, or whatever you said.
Well,
John is obviously
what I meant by that.
These daughters.
I'm going to clarify, because what I meant by that is, if I believe in reincarnation, I will be reincarnated. Not necessarily that I'm going to believe somebody else is reincarnated. You get what I mean? That's what I meant by that.
But it's like, I mean, there are really weird coincidences between the girls.
No, for sure.
The physical things about the postures, the birthmark, like, that is all.
Wait, I need to backtrack, because you told me to remember something about brushing Dad's hair, and then you never touched back on it.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I skipped over that part.
Did they love to brush their dad's hair, I assume?
Yep, they loved art. They loved dress up. They loved to brush their dad's hair.
There's that burp I was waiting for.
I'm just a gassy boy.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I do believe in reincarnation, almost more of, how can I do this in 30 seconds?
30 seconds. Yeah, oh wow.
I know.
It's fine. Okay, let me ask you.
More of like a collective consciousness, right? Like, that explains deja vu and
yes. Yeah, there you go.
Collective consciousness of people being reborn. I think somehow we tap into energy that's already existed, right? Like, I don't know if it's even full.
So you don't actually think that you were you just think that you're tapping into other people's, like, energies, memories. Energy isn't
created or destroyed.
Oh, that's actually...
So at points, like, that would explain deja vu. That would explain how you have past memories. Like, and it would also explain some hauntings, right? Like, you're just tapping into things that have existed.
Like a residual haunting, essentially.
Yes, which is, oh my God, I could go on for days.
Let me ask you this. Before you... I just kicked my lights. Before you like started researching this, you kind of knew about it. Did you think it was reincarnation?
Before I started researching this and I knew the story of the girls, I actually thought it was reincarnation. I think
and
what
now
started to make me being a giant skeptic is before I researched it, I did not know that the dad was obsessed with reincarnation before even the first daughters were born. That to me was just such a major red flag.
Yeah,
honestly, I know I kind of I withheld bits about the researcher and stuff from you,
but still, yeah.
But I almost wanted to leave that out at first, but I'm like, no, that is such a point of you make the reality around you that you want to perceive at times.
Yeah.
Although you want to hear some a really funny side note?
Yes.
So I made this, not made this. I researched this episode last night, and then today I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, and I saw the funniest post, and it was basically I believe reincarnation is real, but at some point, human beings exceeded the the amount of people on Earth at one point. So those who were supposed to come back as ferrets are now coming back as humans, and that might be why furries exist.
Oh my God.
Totally ignorant post, but I got a little chuckle out of it.
Well, and that it had just popped up when you were researching this.
Oh, hey, another synchronicity.
Well, that's just because our phones fucking listen to us. But yeah, what is the word?
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity. The synchronicities in you and me's lives to get is beyond.
Oh, it's just becoming weird at this point.
Listen, I've always said this, but you are my soulmate, and it's clear in the word I can't say that happens to us both every day about each other. It's not even just
But I think about that with the people you're close with. You start to realize, I think there's an energy that runs through everything that we can tap into, and that's where it comes from. Of we're all having a very similar experience, and I don't know. I can't put words to it.
You're my soulmate. It is what it is.
I guess I love you.
No, it's not even like that. I don't think your soulmate. No, I don't think your soulmate is somebody that you end up with. I don't think it has to be the love of your life. I didn't say I was going to
end up with you. I was just saying I loved you. It'd be nice to hear it.
Yeah. You don't even have to love me for me to be your soulmate. I just am your soulmate.
Fair.
Who knows you better or gets you better?
Literally anybody else.
The lies you tell.
Anyways, that is the story of the Pollack Twins.
Anyway, good story.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear.
Especially since you wrote it or researched it and wrote it really last minute.
I think I did great.
No, you did. I loved it. It's creepy. And if we had more time to get into the psychological part of it and the weirdness of the parents and I'm going to ignore that my children just died. I'm going to lean into it. It's just not healthy.
I mean, there's so many other rabbit holes I want to get into, honestly, with this one.
I really think that this was just an unhealthy way, unfortunately, for these two poor girls to be raised.
Just a terrible trauma response.
Yeah. Yeah, which is so sad. And it's not, I don't think it's necessarily either one of the parents' faults. It's just how they coped, I guess you can say, but I don't like it. So yes, I do believe in reincarnation. I don't think that this was reincarnation.
I'm kind of right there with you.
I do maybe think that the sisters maybe visited the twins and maybe told them stuff. That I would get down with that more.
Absolutely. They maybe had some.
Yeah, these are my toys. Well, but also they brought their toys down, right? And you could be attached to your items. So these are my toys, and then kind of showed them some stuff and explained to them how they passed away and why we're not actually here with you. I could.
John definitely imprinted on them.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Well, good job as always.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we hope you enjoyed. Is there anything else that you need to tell us before we go?
No. Other than please
subscribe.
Subscribe, but also send us some stories. We have so many that we want to tell you, but we want to tell you what you want to hear.
Well, here's what I want. This is what my Christmas wish would be. Okay, people? I want to hear I don't necessarily want just like what you guys want us to research and to tell. I want to hear what's happened to you. You can be anonymous, like you can tell us, don't say your name, and like we won't. But I want to hear like real stories and weird things that happen to you guys, and like what brings you to like all the odd, weird, bizarre things in the world. That's what I want.
I feel like, yeah, we've shared some of our weird things. Like, share your oddities with us for sure.
But other than that, yes, please like, subscribe, do all the things. We'd really appreciate it. Follow us on all the things, and talk to us, get at us, and creep it really, oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oddity Shop.